here we go.
Yay.
It's finally time.
Yay.
Welcome, everyone. We're super glad that you are joining us today for day one.
Yep, I'm
Of-
excited.
Yes, of our
Mhm.
peekaboo workshop. We have got some really beautiful things to show you today.
And they were like, I have no idea what this quilt would possibly look like. but-
Well, so we'll get into it. Let me stop my music. But I will say the name is kind of cutesy,
Mhm.
but the design, and I know why you named it, what you
Mhm.
named it, but the design is quite elegant.
The most difficult thing in doing what we do is naming a quilt and writing a description for
Yeah.
it. Those are the things I don't like to do.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people, when you make a quilt, you're like, oh, the hardest part's picking out fabric. But when you're on the designer end, it's naming it.
It really it is hard.
And describing it. So I think when you see it, you'll probably say, oh, your description really was bad. So if you're willing to rewrite it, just email me at Annie@HoopSisters.com and I'll take it into consideration.
There you go. There you go. All right. So welcome in. We see a lot of you hopping in. We're so glad you're here. My name is Aubrey Ellerbrock.
And I'm Annie Moody.
And Annie is our co-founder. She's in the designer and digitizer category with her sister Linda Remmers and then my sister Sarah Congdon. So it's always fun to get a different designer in here for you guys in these workshops and show you some really cool things. So what do you say? Should we show them the design? Here it is, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't this it? Wasn't this it?
No.
Wait, it was this, right?
No,
it wasn't this?
No, but these are, if you like these sizes, fits anywhere in your house, 5-inch and 7-inch on both of them. We have another one for you. The peekaboo is also going to be same 5-inch and 7-inch, so it's the same size. So if there's a little spot in your house, a little wall or a spot on your table, you want to change things out for the seasons, this is a great,
I think I
great
found it
size.
now.
Oh, okay. Are you sure?
Yeah.
All right, let's see what you got.
I think it was this one.
It's this one.
I think it was
right
this one we're
here.
supposed to, not these
Yeah,
ones.
get rid of those. Those are old news. But
I'll
there
hold
it
if
is.
you want to point and talk.
Yeah. So I mean, we call it peekaboo, and the reason we call it peekaboo is because you really see the wool in action that we have in here, a layer of wool. And so if you have a really fun print that's absolutely gorgeous, pull 2 of the colors from your print, and those will be your other 2 solid colors. So that's kind of an easy way to pick out the fabric there.
Yes.
And it's like this little, it kind of reminds me of a cathedral window, yet it's not.
I'm going to get up here close.
Yeah, so you can see that it's also surrounded by a little sawtooth border. So you can see the black and white print and the white little sawtooth border around this little peekaboo area. Makes it kind of fun. And the quilting on the border blocks is awesome. It's a lot of fun to have that contrasting thread so you can really see.
I want to
the
see if I
stitching on
can
there.
get an angle on
the loft.
I don't think I can, but oh my gosh, it so puffs out of here.
It does puff right out of there.
I don't know if you guys can tell, but
Maybe
it
from
puffs
the
right
side,
out.
maybe.
And peekaboo's out. And Annie says Annie's description was reminiscent of a cathedral window. So it's not a true cathedral window.
It's not. So
but
this
it's giving the
section
vibes of a cathedral window, which is pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
So let's see. Oh my gosh, that's gorgeous. Thank you. Thank you. All right, cool. So this is the design. This is what we are going to be working on. So let's do this.
Okay.
Because we didn't really talk about this. We've
We
had a little bit
just
of a
jumped in here.
a little bit of a crazy day, but that's okay. So first and foremost, I just want to, that's not what I want to do. I just want to quickly welcome you guys. We have a lot of new people here in this group. So we are going to stitch this block out so you can see it in action. But before we do, if you're new around here, drop me a number 1 in the comments. Maybe if you have only caught maybe a couple lives or you're brand new, drop a number 1 in the comments. And we're going to kind of introduce you to what's so cool about Hoop Sisters. And that is the fact that we create really gorgeous quilt blocks that are pieced, appliqued, and even quilted in the hoop of your embroidery machine. So No need to go and figure out
Nope.
how to get the top of this quilted later. You're going to have a complete, look at all these number ones. How fantastic. And I saw number 2. That was my next one. If you've been around here a while, drop a number 2. And maybe I already see some of those in there.
Catherine Dunn says not new, old.
Oh yeah, I know. We know Catherine.
Yes.
So that's basically what sets Hoop Sisters apart. And we're going to dive into and show you exactly what we mean by that when we stitch out a block. But just to give you a sense of what the heck we're doing here today, since there were a lot of number 1s, basically each month we like to deliver a couple workshops. And in these workshops, these are free live workshops. And it's just a really great way to see the designer, stitch it out. We'll show you how to trim even on day 2. We go into a lot of really good detail, and you don't have to pay for anything to join the workshops and watch it. In fact, we even give you a free gift if you just register and join us, right? So just to kind of give you an idea of what we mean by workshop. And then what we do is we also give you a really good special price that is during the workshop. So if you decide to go a little bit further with us and actually try this out, you're going to get the best possible pricing by ordering with us today.
And the neat thing is, if you are new and you decide to do it, that this live will always be available for a replay. So you'll always have a nice review, although the instructions, I might be biased, but in my opinion, the instructions are really good. We make them be as clear and concise as we possibly can. And we put diagrams along with each step of the embroidery design. So we try and make it very simple. And we have a wonderful customer service person named Nina. And Nina can answer just about any question under the sun.
In fact, the phone usually lights up after these workshops because she's got a couple besties that like to chat with her, I think. And so that's really sweet too. So we do have amazing customer service if you're new around here, and we are available by phone and email too. Okay. Real quick, before we get stitching this out, we do have a few shops that have this in store. So we've got Super Stitch in Northeast Pennsylvania. We have Just So Happy in Gastonia, North Carolina. Aurora Sewing Center in East Aurora, New York. And then we also have Sewing Concepts in Woodstock, Illinois, also Carpentersville, Illinois. And then we do have one in Canada, which is Heirloom Treasures. They're in Paris, Ontario, Canada. So if you are close to any of these folks, please support your local quilt shops, okay? If you're not, you can order from Hoop Sisters, so don't panic. All right, what do you say? Do you want to stitch out and then we'll go over the details?
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea to me.
Then I will switch over to your camera.
Well, switch over to us for just a moment.
Okie dokie.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. I'm just going to show you, since there are so many newbies, that this is what the first page of the instructions look like. So it does give you some ideas and details about, like the one that we showed you that Aubrey held up before is the one, this side on the top that has 4 main blocks and then some border blocks. But you can continue making more of those blocks into something larger. So the smaller
that's really
one,
cool.
Yeah.
So this is the small one in the instructions that she just showed you.
And this is the small one in a 7-inch size. So there's also a 5-inch blocks that would end up being smaller. So in the 7-inch blocks, this is 20.5 inches by 20.5 inches. And we also give you a page on our instructions where it gives you a place to put little swatches of your fabric. It tells you, it gives you kind of outline of the different files that come with it and the size of those files. So it gives you, some basic instructions there. The next page is your fabric requirements. So we have a page for your fabric requirements for the one that Aubrey held up. We call that the littles. And then we have another page that's for the larger one, that's ×4. So this first section is your 5-inch blocks. The second section is your 7-inch blocks. I like to write up in that gray area which fabrics which, or use the sheet that has the swatches so you know. So let's go over what fabric we need. I love that fabric.
Someone said, can I see the back?
Isn't that beautiful?
She just did a 1-piece back on this one with this really cool fabric.
And the neat thing too is that That design there needed, let's see, there's fabric 1, 2, and 3. And fabric
Mhm.
1 and 2 takes a quarter a yard. Fabric 3 takes 2/3 of a yard. So, I mean, it doesn't take really a
That's
lot of
right.
fabric.
Which is very
It is
nice.
very nice. So I'm going to go over what we need. Fabric 1, which is the print, is you're going to need 14 3.5-inch squares that you're going to then cut on the diagonal. Look at that. That's like magic. I'm going to cut those on the diagonal. So your fabric 2 is going to be, it's the white area. And again, those you're going to cut in 3.5-inch squares and also cut those on the diagonal.
Do you remember what fabric line you used?
This, I think these are Moda. The white is the Moda. It's just a plain white for Moda. And then this is Michael Miller Fresco. I think it's like their darkest black gray of their Fresco line.
Okay.
And then honestly, this print,
I feel like you've had that a while.
I've had
like
this
stash
for a while.
fabric.
I've used it on a nesting basket.
Mhm.
But this, honestly, I don't know where it came from. It's one of those I pulled from the stash.
But that's really nice
Yeah.
because she used that from her stash for this kind of print in there.
Mhm.
So, and then obviously it's black and white. So it was easy to figure out,
Yeah.
I'll just do solid black
Yep.
and white.
Yep.
So I can't wait to see what you guys all choose.
I know. It's going to be so fun. So also fabric 1, you also need a strip and it tells you what size, depending on if you're doing a 5-inch or a 7-inch block.
Mhm.
And then the black area on there that surrounds that print fabric that peeks through, you are for the 7-inch blocks, you are going to need, where is it? An 8x8 piece of fabric that's also cut on the diagonal. And then the instructions will also tell you to press it under about an inch. So there's my 8-inch square cut on the diagonal and then pressed in under an inch. And the instructions will tell you all about that. So I think we should get started.
You guys ready to see this
I'm ready.
stitched out? So as we do that, we do also, not only do we like to give free gifts when we open up registration for workshops, we also like to do live viewer giveaways. So who wants one of those today? Because I got one for you. In fact, we are doing a $35 store credit, which means that you'd be able to get this design if you wanted. So the keyword for today is the word workshop. So go ahead and type the word workshop in the comments. And you do have to either be on YouTube, or if you're on Facebook, you have to give StreamYard permission to view your name and your comments. You only have to do this one time ever. And if you've done it on anyone else's stream through StreamYard, then you are set to go. But our keyword for today is workshop. All right, I'm going to pass it over to Miss Annie.
All righty. I always have to look to see which is my 1 and 2. I don't want to mess it up.
Right, on the live and everything.
I know, that would be terrible. Okay, so step 1 is you're going to hoop your battleizer. We haven't really talked about that, but we'll get back to it. It's basically a batting and stabilizer combination product. And it has a little thin scrim. It's very thin, so it's super, super easy to hoop. So you're going to put that in the hoop. And then you're going to have a water-soluble thread in the needle. And we'll talk about that too, because I'm sure right now the questions are, why?
Yeah.
But basically, you're going to put a water-soluble thread in there because it's going to eliminate a lot of thread changes to different colors and stuff if you use it at this point. And there's another reason that when you sew your blocks together, you don't want that stitching to show.
Which I have a very good example of today.
Yes, we certainly do. I purposely did not wash that out. So basically, step 1, hoop your battleizer, and then with water-soluble thread, you're going to stitch a tack down or a placement stitch. That placement stitch is there so that it shows you where to lay your wool. And we tell you in the instructions what size to cut your wool. And then we also tell you to press the edges to prepare your wool. And basically this, I got the little smaller sample, so hopefully you can all see it. But around the edges, you're going to press that in approximately maybe 1/4 of an inch. And I like to use, oh gosh, what's the
Parchment
parchment
paper.
paper. I'm thinking that thing from the kitchen. I have a roll of parchment paper, so I'll just cut a really thin strip of it. And as each side I'm pressing, I'll just put that between the iron and the wool, and it makes it nice and thin. And the reason we do that is so that your presser foot does not get caught in that wool. Now, the other thing you can do is your machine probably has a place in your set menu where you can raise the height of your presser foot just enough to skim over that wool. So that is something else that we recommend you do. So here's my wool that's actually cut the proper size. And all you do is place that inside that placement stitch.
Is it dream wool? Is that what we use?
This is dream wool.
Dream wool, yeah.
You can use, if you're allergic to wool, there's, you can use a poly, or you can use, I'm trying to think some of the other ones.
Bamboo.
There's other, other types of batting that has a nice loft that you can use.
And we do sell it. Someone asked that too.
We do sell the dream wool. So again, this is a water soluble stitch. But what it's going to do is it just sews a tack down stitch to attach that wool to the battleizer. You can do this without the wool and it'll still look really cute. I just really liked the effect that wool had.
Yeah.
With that little center area. So the only thing you need to do is just make sure that your wool is lined up with that placement stitch as you go. And I would also say that skip the wool if this is going to be sitting on a table. Because if you put a basket or a vase or a water glass or something on it, you probably want it to lay a little flatter.
But I think this design is perfect for the wool because it just in person pops so much in those center spots.
It really does.
Shelly said she needs to try that parchment paper.
Oh my gosh, it's a game changer. I don't know what took me so long to figure that out. The next step it's going to do is it's going to sew the pattern onto the wool. So remember I mentioned about raising the presser foot? This is probably a good idea to do that because it is now going to be sewing on top of that wool. So, and again, this will be a water soluble step. I just wanted everyone to be able to see this. But what you need to do is just hold that wool down right in front of the needle. And it's just sewing the pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so we know where to place the fabric.
Giving us a little guide.
Yep. My fingers aren't in the way of the view of the camera.
Someone said they loved to learn about new to me products. Heck yeah, that's awesome.
Okay, it's going to do placement now for that little peekaboo area. So I'm just pushing the wool as it moves towards me. Typically, if it's going backwards, it's usually not a problem because the back of the foot will push that wool down for you. All right, so now my instructions say to place fabric 1 right side up in the corner that the machine just went to. And we're going to sew the tack down stitches. And again, this is a water soluble thread stitch. And the reason it is because it is stitching on the outside of your block. And when you sew this block to another block and this side to another block, you want to make sure that that's not going to show. So I have to just take a peek here. My fabric 1 happens to be my pretty print. Oh, I stuck them under here. I lost my fabric. All right, so you're just going to take your fabric and I'm going to lay it approximately 1/4 of an inch or scant 1/4 inch past that line of stitching right there. And I'm just going to lay it right on there. And you should have about 1/2 an inch on fabric excess on this side and also on this side. And again, normally you would use water soluble because as you can see, it's stitching on the outside edge there. Okay, at this point, we're going to switch and do a seam, and we're going to do some stitch and flip seams. So at this point, is there a hoop scissors over there?
Oh yeah, I got hoop scissors everywhere.
Okay,
Here's a regular.
thank you. All right, so the next one is a seam. So this is when you would then switch to your regular sewing thread, just a neutral color. I'm going to just leave the black in there. I'm going to put this right here, and you're just going to lay it raw, right sides together with the raw edges even. I'm going to make a comment and a suggestion here that if you have a dark fabric underneath and light fabric that's going to come up on top,
Good call.
maybe to trim it just a slight more of a scant 1/4 inch. So this is a hoop scissors. We have a hoop scissors and we have a hoop scissors mini. So I like to use the hoop scissors when I'm trimming a long fabric like this, a larger piece. This one isn't quite that large, but I'm going to make sure that this darker fabric is not showing through my white after I flip my seam. So I'm using my hoop scissors for that. And what I like about the hoop scissors is that it has an offset handle. It has a nice long blade, and it makes it easy to trim inside your hoop like that. Okay, so now I can take my next fabric, my white fabric, I think that was number 2, lay it right side down with your raw edges even. Actually, my raw edge is going to extend a little bit past that, just so that I don't have that black and white fabric showing through the white. And now I'm going to sew a seam. All right, and now I can flip that white fabric. And by the way, you would not be using black thread on that white, but I'm going to leave it in there just because it makes it easier for you guys to see that thread, because you don't want that to show through either. So you're going to flip it right side up, and you're going to do a nice little finger press, and then the machine is going to sew a tack down stitch. So you just hold that fabric down for a second, make sure it stays nice and smooth. All right, so now I have a little thread tail to trim. And you can say I also have some trimming to do here. That looks like quite a wide seam allowance. So I am going to trim this using my hoop scissors to a 1/4 inch, scant 1/4 inch. And what I like about doing in the hoop quilting is that your seams do not have to be exact, because the machine knows exactly where to sew your seam. So there's that. So we're already on step 7. So step 7, we're going to take our print fabric again. Put the hoop back on here. Okay, it says we're going to do a seam that's right here. So one thing that you need to do, because you have 3 sides to this, and you could be going, of course, it's right side down. Do you lay this side to it? Do you lay this side? Which side goes there? And the easy way to figure that out is just, you can see where it's going to go once you flip it. So lay it there if you're at all confused, and then flip it over. That way you'll know which angle you need to put that at. So I'm going to lay this right sides together with our raw edges even, and we're sewing a seam. So basically this whole area is going to be stitch and flip, and going up towards the top is also going to be stitch and flip. And you're just going to keep the same thread in there, a neutral thread, and just keep stitching and flipping. So flip it over, finger press it, sew a tack down. It's kind of fun because it's just like repeat, and you can see it growing. So I do have a little tip for you on this spot right here, and this is right after you sew that tack down, is right up here where this is. You're going to have a little bulk there. So I would recommend you trimming this fairly close, little more than a 1/4 inch. That way it'll avoid some bulk right there in that corner. Let me put this back on here. I think my arms are shrinking. I'm going to also trim this. And again, for the reason we said before, is we don't want any of that black to show through our white fabric. Should have done that while I had it off. Okay, I'll leave that. And then we're going to do the white there. So again, it's just right side down, raw edges even. And just double check to make sure once it's flipped that it's flipping and sewing in the right direction and that the next area is entirely covered. Grab a little thread tail. And then again, it's flip it, finger press it, sew a tack down. It's pretty easy, very, very easy. And it's fun just watching that quilt block grow.
Well, I like that you don't have to be perfect.
I do
Like
too.
you digitize to make it all perfect for you.
Right. It's the magic of HoopSisters. All right, let's bring this up here. I'm going to trim this again. So anything on the outside of the block, any excess fabric, you're just going to leave that there. And that gets trimmed later, and we'll do that tomorrow. Yeah, my arms are too short.
I think it's your jacket. It's restricting. But when you wear those blazers, don't you feel like you can't move your arms as much?
I do. I should just take it off. Okay, so now we're just going to go to the black and white print. And again, this is where it will be once you flip it. So I'm just going to flip that back over. I have kind of a generous, I definitely have more than 1/4 of an inch there. And the white is not going to show through this black and white. So I'm going to not quite lined up even, but I can actually go back a little bit. So here's the next seam. And we're going to flip it and finger press it and sew a tack down. So I'm sure you can see a pattern happening here.
Lisa said she's driving home from New York and she might have to stop by on her way home tomorrow. Lisa, if you come by during the live, we'll put you live.
That's
you can stitch some stuff out.
That's right. I can believe that. That way, you guys can see that what happens when you really don't trim that and it kind of shows through. So I'm going, because it's just a practice block to show you how, so it's okay if I don't do it exactly right. You can see the mistakes to not make, especially when you have extremely light and dark fabrics.
No, someone said, have you ever tried the Clover's fabric folding pen on the seams for finger pressing?
Yeah, I have tried that. And frankly,
she goes barefoot in here all the time too. She's just crazy.
I do. Pins everywhere. I have one and I did try it. And it was like, to me, it was, I mean, if you like it, use it. But to me, it really wasn't even necessary.
Okay.
I mean, just finger pressing it. And this is laying on a hard surface anyway, that really does the trick. But if you have one and you want to try and use that, by all means, go for it.
Can you also talk about the size block you're making, the size hoop potentially? Yes. And someone also asked what machine you're using.
Okay. I am stitching a 7-inch by 7-inch block. I am using the Janome 15,000 and I'm using the ASQ 22 hoop. And like we mentioned earlier, the design also comes in a 5-inch block size, so you could use a smaller hoop for that. And it comes in all the different formats. Get some good questions there.
Someone said barefoot sewing for life. You and Annie would get along. It's too cold in Ohio right now, but this summer.
Hey, in the summer, the sandals just get kicked off the minute we walk in the door. The minute I walk in the door. I shouldn't speak for everybody.
Michelle says that she's tried both Clover and Acorn and really did like it for when she did the Diamond Skill Builder.
All right, there you go.
So there you go. If you like that, there you go. Michelle recommends it.
That's right. All right, so stitch a seam, flip the fabric. All right, I want to point out right here, this is where I did not trim it because we wanted to see what it would look like.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see if you have that dark fabric under there, it really is good to trim it a scant 1/4 inch so that you have that not showing through your lighter fabric. So keep that in mind. I'm just going to skip all that trimming stuff. You can see the mistakes of how not to do it. All right. Trying to get my little thread tails out of there. All right, so then this is my last piece of fabric over on this side. I'm going to flip it and finger press it. And we're still just using just your neutral thread because it does a tack down, but it doesn't come down here. So we don't have to worry about needing to switch it to water soluble there. All right. And so now we're going to start doing the piecing up here that goes towards the top. So again, if you're concerned about which side to lay that your little triangle on, just a little tip, just lay it and look at how it goes once it's flipped and then flip it back. So just right side down with your raw edges even. So the seam, we're just going to do the same stitch and flip going towards the top. All right, flip it, finger press it. Don't worry, it gets more fun in just a moment. Okay, that looks like a pretty wide seam allowance left on there, so I'm going to go ahead and trim that. And by trimming it, then you have a edge to lay the next piece of fabric against. And my next piece of fabric, I'm going to lay just like this. I'm wondering if the people are now thinking of what's in their stash.
Yes.
What's that fabric I saw at the quilt shop that I absolutely fell in love with? And what print would you use? And what 2 colors of we recommend a colors of a solid, but you do whatever you want. You might have some better ideas than what we had. Okay, I think it was this step we had a little more trimming to do in this corner. Remember when we did this one here, we trimmed it a little bit even, and we're going to do that here too. I'm just going to trim it up kind of on an angle like that to help get some of the bulk out of that corner right there. And then I have more seams to trim.
Christmas fabrics, Linda.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
That would be a great idea. And I need another print. So I'm going to right side down, raw edges even. Flip, finger press. So
Oh my gosh, somebody on Facebook said they just finished a 1-inch postage stamped scrappy quilt.
Oh my goodness.
1,600 1-inch squares.
Oh my goodness.
So this might seem very simple, or you're like, nope, not for me. I'm moving on to something else. I already did all that.
I want to do a quilt 10-inch squares.
Yeah.
That is really awesome. Those are beautiful. All right. See, you definitely by now, I'm sure, have got the whole stitch and flip process ingrained in your head. We have just 3 more to go, and then we can work on this area. 100 postage stamp
Yeah,
size pieces
1
of
inch
fabric.
sizes.
Ask her, or I'll ask her, what size was the finished quilt when you got finished? That's what I want to know. So I'm gonna flip that and sew the tack down.
Someone said, heck no, I would never do that. Hands down to you for completing that one.
No kidding. And I wonder how long it took too.
Then she can always say she did it now, you know?
That's
like
right.
she can be like, I did that.
I did this is a long time ago. I'm gonna trim this too. I did a whole cloth quilt all with hand stitching. And that one was easy to name. I talked earlier about naming your quilts and writing descriptions.
I know what you're going to say.
And I named that one Never Again 1.
Had to have a 1 because it probably would happen again, or
right.
what?
It left the door open for possibilities of doing it.
Never
again.
say never.
All right.
Unless you had a 1 at the end. She said with sashing and borders, it was 68 inches square.
Wow.
That's crazy.
And how long did it take to make
It's awesome.
Okay, I'm going to do a tack down here. And
we're getting to the peekaboo part.
We are. Stick around. I bring my hoop forward, except I probably hit the camera. That's why I have to take it off and then on again. All right, one last little piece. I actually counted my fabric pieces and have the right number here. So this is a good thing.
She said it took her months with pauses in between.
And I bet you are so good at matching intersections and seams now. It's got to be amazing.
Candace said, loving the tips. That's what's really fun about the lives is you get extra tips.
Yeah,
you get to watch Annie potentially mess something up so you don't do the same thing too, right?
That's true. But, you make a mistake and then you're like, oh yeah, don't do that because she did that in the live.
The other thing that's really nice about the lives is we do have the replays. So someone said they were watching intently. That's why I'm bringing this up, because you can watch this again. We actually put it in a guides folder in Facebook, so you can find it.
Okay, so now we're headed to the center. This is the peekaboo part. And this is my fabric 1. And this, of course, it's that beautiful print. And I'm going to lay it right over the placement stitch that stitched out earlier. I'm just going to center it on there. And you can use keep going with your neutral color thread. So I'm going to go ahead and place this on here and peekaboo underneath it. Make sure everything's covered.
That's right, Sharon. No, there's no mistakes, just learning opportunities.
And I have had a lot of learning opportunities, let me tell you.
I have seen some good questions coming through. Just to let you know, I do see them and I'm saving them so Annie can take a look at them and get those answered for you here shortly.
You can already see it poofing. It's so cool.
Yeah.
All right, so now you're going to trim this like a scant 1/4 inch away from that stitching. So you're going to get in kind of close. Make sure I'm doing this right. Let me check my instructions.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yep, got it. Okay, I was correct. Because wouldn't it be terrible if I cut that away? That would be one of those things you talk about forever. Oh, remember that mistake?
Yeah.
Now I will tell you again. Can they see this corner right here? Probably not.
No.
All right, let me move this. Or can I move this?
She's getting gutsy.
Oh, I'm not going to do that. Okay, so this corner where we had talked about the bulk loading up, we're going to trim that close, right close to the stitching. Oh, I think I bumped something on my machine. Okay, well. All right, so we're going to trim this a little closer, and the rest of it we're trimming 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to trim this closer down here. I'm going to use my hoop scissors when I get down there, though. Okay.
I got some good questions for you to answer.
Good. Write them down so
I'm starring them, so
okay, cool.
we'll be able to go through and answer.
All right, so down in this area, hopefully you can see that this is the edge. There will eventually be a satin stitch here, so we're going to trim this right here, fairly close to that stitching, so that that fabric isn't peeking out later. I'll do that over here as well. So that's how you would trim down in that corner. And the instructions tell you that. So don't miss that. Make sure you read your instructions. I had to read them and I wrote them. So, all right, let me get this back on here. So we are on the next step, and this is the fun part. Here we're supposed to change a water-soluble thread, just in the needle. We're going to use our fabric 3, which is our dark solid. There it is. And the instructions will show you, there's like a diagram that shows you exactly where to lay your fabric and where your folded edge is. And you're going to lay this right side up. You can see my folded edge right there. And we're just going to fold that under. And I'm going to read this just to make sure. It's been a while since I've done this.
It's been a minute since you wrote it.
All right, we're supposed to use water soluble. I'm not going to do that, but you're going to do that. Prepare the long edge of both of the pieces of fabric 3, which you've already done. Press edge on both sides under 1 inch, which we did, and place it right side up with the folded edge towards the center of fabric 1, which is our print. And then we're going to sew tack down stitches. Yeah, so I'm just going to lay this. I'm going to put the folded edge right here in this corner. And the other folded edge is going to land right in this corner. And then you're going to sew a tack down stitch. I'm going to check under here and also under here. I'm a little short on the fabric here, so I'm going to raise that up. You want it to be so that you have about a 1/2 inch on the outside of your block at the top and maybe 1/2 inch over here. So just line everything up correctly.
Ooh, someone's got some ombre fabrics they might try to use.
That would be fun. I can't wait to see what everybody's going to do. Please share when you get them done. All right, you can see where it is stitching this side twice, and that should alert you to the fact that that's where satin stitch is going to go. And there's 2 lines of stitching here because you're going to trim that real close to the stitching. Sarah did a camera adjustment. It looks great. And I'm going to get out I'm going to trim this right now. And this is the Hoop Scissors Mini. And basically this is for trimming applique, anything that's really, really you need to trim close to the stitching. It has very, very thin blades, and it has an offset handle too to help you get inside the block. So I'm just going to trim this side right up close to the stitching. All right, now we're going to add our other side, and we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to repeat for the other side. Right side up, make sure you have your folded edge pressed under 1 inch, and you're going to line it to this corner and to the corner at the top. You're thinking, where's the peekaboo part? You're covering it up. Okay, so we're also going to check here, make sure we have at least a 1/2 inch there and a 1/2 inch down here. So I'm going to tug it down in this direction. All right, I think we are good to go. And now we're going to sew the tack down for this fabric. And again, it's going to do a double line of stitching there because you're going to trim that close to the stitching. And that way, if you happen to snip one of the stitches that's right there, you will have another line of stitching to hopefully catch that. All right, so let's trim this. Again, I'm using that Hoop Scissors Mini. Such sharp pointing blades, they get into the tiniest nooks and crannies, which is amazing. The next step is, and again, I'm using black, but you should have water soluble thread in there. And I'm going to sew a basting stitch and around the entire block, and that's to help hold all these areas down that did not get stitched down before. And it's also going to give me a placement stitch for us to do our peekaboo. So again, you would use water-soluble thread. And we'll talk more about the whys, because I'm sure that's going to be one of the questions, right, Aubrey?
Yeah, probably. I got 10 of them starred, so I don't even remember what they
wow.
were, but I saved them for you.
Right.
Yeah, do as I say, not as I do.
Right. All right, I'm going to stop the machine just to show you. These are kind of like uphill folds. So sometimes you may, if you're not watching it, the presser foot could that caught and stitch that down. And if it happens, it's not a big deal. All you have to do is pop out a couple stitches. But I don't know if you noticed, and you can look at the replay if you want, but I'm holding this down so that when the foot goes over it, it does not catch. So there's a spot there, and a spot there, and another one there. And now it's going to do a placement stitch. Starting to go peekaboo. Now we get to do some quilting. We have it do the quilting first because we want that quilting to kind of go right underneath that peekaboo area. So I'm going to change to some white thread.
This is going to be exciting.
It is. I love the contrast in the black and white. I love the white thread on that black. It just makes the quilting really pop. Now I will also tell you and give you another tip is it's going to do the quilting on this side, then it will do the quilting on that side. When it goes over to do the quilting on this side, kind of keep an eye on it, make sure it doesn't grab that. You know what I mean? All right, I'm going to get rid of a thread tail, and then we're going to let it go. So everyone, now, have we talked about the bonus gift?
No, I haven't talked about anything.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to behave and not interrupt you.
Oh.
It's been really hard for me.
I know it is.
Yeah, red thread would be amazing on the black and white. Oh,
yeah.
You should do that, Deborah, and then post it in the
Yeah.
Facebook group.
I thought of that too. I'm thinking.
Someone else mentioned red work. I know you have an affinity for.
I love red work.
Yeah.
I think it's so pretty.
Look at that. Look at the quilting. So pretty.
It is pretty. So it's doing a triple run line with the quilting, and that's so that it really stands out so you can see it really well. Sometimes we'll do just a single run, like for a background quilting. And sometimes if we really want it to pop, we'll use that triple run line stitch. So I wonder if we did have a few pictures posted of the needle holder. I wonder if anyone out there has stitched that out yet.
Anybody stitched the
That
free
hasn't
gift?
Posted a picture.
Oh, I'm sure there's people who have done it and not posted it. That's a good question too. I'm saving all your questions, and I am going to show you how to order too.
Is there a question?
Once Annie lets me talk, I will.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
Are there any questions that we?
Oh my gosh, Mom, there's so many. You want to come up here and look through them and see what you want to answer right now?
Watch this because I know it's about to go over to the other side.
Do you want me to just ask?
Yeah, you can just read them out.
Okay. Let me go over here.
There we go. See how I had to make sure it didn't catch that little lip there? It's not a walk away and go make dinner.
Okay, not a walk away and make dinner thing.
No.
Okay. So Cheryl on YouTube asked, do you extend the fabric to allow for the outside block? Just thinking in terms of pre-cutting fabrics.
I'm not exactly sure I'm understanding the question. We tell you exactly what size to cut your fabrics. And the only thing you really have to watch is that you leave about at least a half an inch on the outside of the block. And I'm so sorry if that did not answer your question. Just type it in again, and we'll give it another shot. Oh, Cheryl Lee wants to know what you can do to minimize the stiffness when making a quilt using this method. Well, I will tell you that the smaller the block, like we're doing the 7-inch, if you do the largest block, it will be less stiff because the smaller something is, and the more seams and the more stitching you have in something that's smaller, it's going to get a little bit stiffer. And I will also recommend and tell you too that the more you wash these, the softer they get.
That makes sense. Okay, and then Teresa asked, what needle size and brand, please? And I know Nina did answer. I did see Nina answered this. But if you want to talk about, do you remember your needle size?
I believe I am using, if I'm not mistaken, I can't remember, it's 11 or 14.
Okay.
Maybe Sarah can run in.
Well, I know Nina did answer with recommendations.
Right.
It just happened to be in here and start. So she should be good and taken care of.
I can never remember. I just open the drawer and grab what's in there because I know it's right. I know that's terrible. I should know more.
I should know more.
Okay. So if you have another question, Aubrey, go ahead and
I got more questions.
See if I can multitask.
Okay. Dawn over on YouTube says, I have a question with the placement line that is made in the pattern. Do you lay the edge on the line or a ½ inch off the line? I think she's talking about the placement stitch and where you put the fabric. Do you put it just over?
You put the fabric over the top of the placement stitch, and we tell you to cut it so that it's big enough to sufficiently cover that area.
Okay, so you're not laying it directly on the edge of the placement stitch. You're covering it slightly.
Yep, you're centering it over the
it doesn't have to be like a ½ inch off the line. It just has to be covering it.
Yes.
Okay, so hopefully that helps answer your question, Dawn. Cheryl says, do you cut your pieces larger? She's thinking about pre-cut and a scan and cut. And I don't think we give the file for the scan and cut. So
yeah, if you have a scan and cut, I would just, and you want to use it to cut those fabric pieces out, by all means, go ahead and do that.
So, but I think she's saying, do you cut your pieces larger? So because she's thinking of using the scan and cut.
I would cut them the size that we tell you to cut them. Like
leave it as it is and in the instructions.
Exactly as it is.
Okay.
All right, you guys can see this. What I'm going to do now, if I can get my glue to start coming out, is this is something that you don't have to do, but if you feel more comfortable doing it this way, you can. I'm only going to do it on one side. That way you can see. I'm going to do one side with the glue and one side without the glue. And this is to just hold that flap down. I did actually put water-soluble thread in the needle. What we're going to do now is when it did that placement stitch over the top of the black fabric before it did the quilting, that is going to be your guide as to where to line this up. So you can just fold your folded edge over and match the folded edge to that line that's stitched out in, I don't know for sure which step. And then I should bring it back over here again. Oops. I used the glue Baste It from Roxanne, which is a temporary basting glue, and it works great for this sort of thing. The other thing you could use is there's a product called Wonder Tape, which is a double-sided water-soluble tape that's like a quarter of an inch, maybe even less than a quarter of an inch thick. And that is also something that you could lay there. And you could lay that right inside that area, but you're basically matching the folded edge up with the stitching that took place earlier. And then with the water soluble thread, you will do, it just does a zigzag stitch to hold that down. But I will tell you also is that I've done a few of these, and actually I would make this an optional step and just, you don't have to use the glue. You don't have to use the double-sided tape. You can just hold that in place as it begins to do its stitching, whichever you feel more comfortable with. I keep hitting my sleeve on some place I don't want to go on my machine. Like you said, Aubrey, I think it's the jacket.
I think it is. You should just take it off.
I should. All right, so I'm going to hit the start button with the water soluble thread. And again, this is going to show really good because the thread looks white on the black fabric, but remember it does wash out. And this is just to kind of hold it in place while it does a decorative stitch to hold that. So this is just something temporary to hold it in place. So then the next step that we're going to do is it's going to do a decorative stitch. I'm trying to think what color I used. Oh, I'm going to use the same color that I used for the quilting thread. So I'm going to rethread. I'm going to put my white back in there. Remember, this is water soluble, so it will disappear. But we're going to do the decorative stitch over the top of it, and that's our permanent thread that's going to hold that in place. So you can, maybe from that camera angle, can you see the loft that wool did? I have a thread tail that needs to go away. There we go. Can you see the loft in the camera? Can you see how that's
I think so. It's more noticeable in person, but I think they can see it.
So this is going to continue doing a decorative stitch here, and then it's going to also do the decorative stitch around this side. The next step after it finishes the decorative stitch is going to be the satin stitch that will cover the raw edge. So I'm not going to do the satin stitch because we're already going on an hour and we don't want to keep anyone here for too long. But while this stitches, let's see if we can get to some of the questions that we had.
And if it's okay, I'm going to run through a couple of slides because I think some of those questions will get answered, and I want to speed through these real quick.
There you go.
And then we'll go back to the questions. Okay, so I've seen a couple of people say, how big is it? What are the sizes? How do we order? So let's talk about all that. Okay, let's dive into it. So for peekaboo, it's kind of reminiscent of that cathedral window. It's not true cathedral window, but man, it's pretty cool. And then it also has that sawtooth border you saw her stitching out in the very beginning of the stitch out, and only 3 fabrics required. Hello, that's always fun too, because sometimes it's hard to pick out fabrics. So we do have 2 block sizes that come with this design. So when you order, you're going to get both block sizes, the 5-inch and the 7-inch. So we do have the minimum hoop sizes that you're going to need in order to make this design on the screen. And then we also do provide all embroidery formats. So it doesn't matter what machine brand you have, you're going to have everything you need to do it. We're using a Janome today. And this workshop is actually sponsored by Baby Lock. And if Nina, if you could drop in the contest link in the comments, you guys can get registered for that giveaway as well. So in terms of finish size, it really depends on a couple things, right? It depends on if you're going to do the 5-inch block size or the 7-inch block size. And it also depends on if you're going to do the littles layout, which is what we showed you and held up today, or if you're going to go with that larger layout, which is basically making almost like 4 of them and then adding the border on that. So the size was going to range from basically 14.5 inches squared to up to 35 inches squared, depending on your block size and your layout.
Yep.
Okay. So you'd have to figure out where you're going to be within that. Okay. And then we haven't even talked about this yet, and we're an hour in, so I'm going to try to speed it up. But we have an amazing bundle bonus as well. So the bundle bonus, in fact, why don't we talk about this and hold it up on the screen? Okay. You can talk about it.
Okay.
It's your beautiful design.
That one too.
Yeah.
Okay, so your bonus, which is going to be free, it's a $15 value, but it's free, and Aubrey can talk more about
free
that.
asterisks. I'll tell you how to get. I'll tell you how to get.
So here is a cute little pin cushion. It does have some flaps on there. I think you can see the flaps better on there. You can see it holds pins and it holds clips, and there's a little plastic insert on the bottom so your pins won't go all the way through. So it's just an adorable little pin cushion. And this is your bonus that'll be free under certain circumstances that Aubrey will talk about.
So we'll talk about them. And how cute. So I love that this basically also coordinates with the free gift, which was the needle holder that Annie stitched it out yesterday. The replay for that is on Facebook and YouTube as well. So you got a needle holder, and then you got this awesome little pin and clip cushion as well.
And I don't know about anyone else, but sometimes I lose my needles inside my pin cushion, my hand sewing needles, or you can use your sewing machine needles. So this is really a cool thing to have. Great gift for your friends and stuff.
Absolutely. Okay. So we do have that. Now, if you just want that, it's $15, no big deal. And you can order that. Okay. But if you know you're going to get the design, right? We also highly recommend that you use our battleizer. Our battleizer is actually, let's get it. Let's hold it up.
Let's get it.
Our battleizer, if you're new around here, is our batting and stabilizer combo product. So you don't have to add stabilizer to our designs. You just hoop the battleizer in step one.
And this is our battleizer.
And this is the 5 yards.
Nice and thin, super easy to hoop. It's wonderful.
And it's stable.
It's stable and has a nice drape to it.
Heck yeah. Okay. So we recommend that you use that. That you can see in Annie's hoop there is what she hooped. That was step one. Hoop your battleizer. Okay. So that'll have the batting you want and the stability that you want all in that one product. So the design's just $35, which is fantastic price point. It's also the price point of our giveaway today, strategically. And then the battleizer is $33.99. And then if you were to buy the bonus for $15, then you'd be spending $83.99. But what we like to give things around here. So we've given a free gift, and we also like to give you the best possible pricing for participating in our workshop. So that means that if you get the design and the 5 yards battleizer, you just add both to your cart, you're automatically going to get 10% off, which is fantastic. Yeah. And you don't need a coupon code. It'll just automatically do it for you.
Magic.
Yes. The other thing that will happen is it'll pop in the bonus, which is the pin cushion, clip cushion, for free. Okay. So you don't have to buy the bonus in this instance, and you're saving the 10% off the design and the battleizer. So your cost goes from $83.99 to $62.09.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Lisa, I don't know that it has the 15 yards of bat in there, but if you guys want it, we can put it in there. Okay. So this is an opportunity to save $21.90. Okay. So it's a really, really great deal. And this deal expires tomorrow, which is Friday, March 8th at midnight Eastern.
Are you going to be up at midnight to flip a switch?
Heck no, I go to bed at 9, maybe 9:30. So I won't, but the website's smart enough. can you add wool to this design? Oh, yes, we actually did add wool to this design, and that is on the website. So here's the thing, you guys. We are coming back tomorrow for day 2. We're not done yet today, but we are coming back tomorrow for day 2. We're going to show you some other tools on day 2. And the reason that I'm bringing that up is because if you decide to go ahead and place an order today, I don't want you to have to place an order tomorrow and pay double shipping. I want you to get the best deal. So I highly encourage you, if you're going to get the design and the battleizer, if you don't yet have a trimmer, by the way, who has a trimmer in here and can contest to this? We're not going to show you how it works today. We're going to show it tomorrow. Oh, that's a good question. Is the pincushion done completely in the hoop?
Yes, except for sewing the opening to turn it.
Okay.
That you have to.
And tomorrow we're actually doing the trimmer, showing the trimmer, but we're also, Andy's going to make the bonus. Okay. So we are going to have some fun extra stuff tomorrow. Okay. These comments are coming in fast and furious. I love it. I love it. Trimmer's amazing. Yes.
It is
okay. So their
amazing.
comments are just saying the trimmer is worth it. So if you don't have one and you're like, I don't know if I need that, just look at the comments going nuts right now.
And it's not just for HoopSisters, anything where you need to remove the bulk in the seam. So it's great for that.
So there you go. You had
it's not just us.
You had 50 testimonials just pop up right in there. So highly recommend that. We'll show you how to use it tomorrow. Annie did use the HoopSisters and HoopSisters Mini today. So we showed you those. The water soluble thread, we can talk more about that even tomorrow if we need to, but I think we're getting there. We'll be okay on time. I was getting nervous.
Yeah, it was.
We'll also show you the strip stick. So these are all things that if you're putting things in your cart right now and you want that promotion and all that stuff, I just wanted you to know what else is in there just so you don't miss it.
And because this design, if you use the wool in it to get that peekaboo, the wool popping out, the strip stick is very important because you know how we press the edges of the wool so the presser foot wouldn't get caught? If you put your iron on the seams to press the seams, you're going to have the same thing and it's going to get flattened. And the strip stick is going to keep that from happening. So that's why we wanted to show you some of the other things that you will need.
Yes. So what we're doing is tomorrow we're going to get into trimming, pinning, joining, and all those tools that we just talked about. We're going to show you how to use them and why you need them. And then we're also going to stitch. Annie's going to make this tomorrow.
Busy day tomorrow.
Yeah, busy day tomorrow. So what I think we should do now is first, I'm gonna pop up these questions so that you can look at them and answer them. But I also want to pop up Nina's phone number and email. And so we have a real life person who answers the phone around here. If you get the voicemail, it's just because she's helping somebody else and she will get back in touch with you. So if you have questions about the discounts or the best pricing and all that kind of stuff. And I'm also totally fine with the 15 yards being part of that bundle. I don't think we have it set up that way, but we can. So maybe give her a call if that's you, because I saw a couple people ask about that. I guess what you want to see is this. Okay, Annie's going to
questions.
Annie's going to answer some questions. I didn't forget the giveaway. It is set up properly. So hang out for a second.
Okay. Does the pattern make the machine cut the thread where needed, or are you doing it? I have my machine set to, I can go and tell it to either cut the thread or not cut the thread. And because this design we don't put a backing fabric on it. We back it a different way after it comes out of the hoop. I have my machine set to cut the thread for me.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that this one?
You got?
Yep. Okay. Is there backing underneath? I do quilt as you go, no long arm. This isn't long arm. So she's asking, I think she's asking how's the quilt sandwich put together is how I'm taking it.
Right.
You do not need a long arm. Okay.
Okay. So there's so many different ways that you can back your fabric. A lot of our designs, especially some of our heirloom quilts and that, we have you put a piece of backing fabric on prior to the quilting step. And we have you match your needle and your bobbin thread. And the smaller designs like this, we just add a one-piece backing to it.
So this is the front.
This is the front. And so your backing is added after all your quilt blocks are sewn together. So since it's a smaller project, it's much easier to do. But those really large heirloom quilt, it's easier to add the backing while it's in the hoop. And that way you can see all the quilting on the back side of it as well.
Are we gonna? We're gonna kind of talk about this tomorrow when we do the trimming,
yes,
and the pinning and
right.
and the joining. So if you're still confused after that explanation, I highly recommend you join tomorrow too.
Was I confusing?
No, I don't think you were. I'm just saying, like,
I'm just
since
teasing,
since she's saying she doesn't do, I just want to make sure she's getting it. So no, you're doing a fantastic job. Good job, Mama.
Thanks. How do you keep the back of the quilt clean of threads? Well, since we're going to add that backing fabric after you sew your blocks together, it's going to cover all that up. I usually will cut the threads and snip them and stuff before I add the backing. But
well, you do have tricks too. If you are putting the back on while it's in the hoop, you can do the needle down, needle up.
Right.
Turn off your automatic thread cutter.
That's for another day.
That's for another day. You don't need to do that with
another lesson, another day.
Okay. And
replay. Yes, you can replay it on YouTube and on Facebook, so that if you miss it today or tomorrow, you can come in and watch a replay.
This might be the same person asking about the backing because I can't see the name.
This would make beautiful blocks. Yes, I do quilt as you go method joining my blocks. So my question is there backing underneath? So I hopefully we covered your question, covered that with the previous question. Is that this particular one, we don't add the backing because it is a smaller project. But like I said, some of the larger heirloom quilts will add the backing block by block and match the needle and bobbin thread so the quilting shows through on the back. But this one is backed with one piece backing. What else we got?
Will the 5-inch yards of Will the 5 yards of battleizer be enough to cover a 7-inch project?
If you do the littles project like the one she was showing a minute ago, and let me just look, because if you did 4 of those, like the bigger one shown there, let me see. Yes, 5-yard package. If I calculated correctly, will also cover the one that has 4 of those peekaboo things in there.
Patricia asked, can I register for tomorrow? Patricia, no need. You no need to register for tomorrow. Registration is usually a week before, like during the week before the event, and it's for both days. So you should be good to go. Okay.
We're just reading through questions. We don't want to miss anything.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. That's a good question for Sarah. In other workshops, if you spent a certain amount, you could still get the bonus for free without the battleizer. Is that possible this time? I don't know, Rhonda. I will ask Sarah.
Hopefully she's paying attention.
And then Nina, could you please, pretty please, drop the order link in the comments? Someone said event information isn't showing on the site. So Nina will drop the link so that you can go straight to where to order at.
And I see a comment here. It says, I think I did a little stitch in the ditch. And yes, once you add the backing fabric, your 1-piece backing on, you can do a stitch in the ditch, and you can do just a straight stitch in the ditch, or we have found that a serpentine stitch using an invisible thread, and we like to use the Superior Threads monopoly thread. That definitely helps everything lay nice and flat. So that's what you do. You would stitch in the ditch, and that's kind of what we're going to cover tomorrow.
Okay. All right.
Oh, about if they did not do the 5-yard battleizer, but did up to a certain.
They just have to have $62.10 in there.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And I think that's what Nina said too. Okay. So we did it. We did it.
Yay.
So Nina has dropped the order link. So if you just go to HoopSisters.com, what?
Boom, boom, boom.
Oh, winner. You're right. We do need to draw a winner. Gosh, you guys got to keep me on my game. Yeah, wonderful. She wants.
There
So
you go.
there you go, Rhonda. You can
Yep.
get the other design that's been on your wish list and this one if you already have Battleizer in
Yep.
stock or you're outside
As
of the
long
US.
as it makes that
63.
Yep,
Yep.
63.
Yep. Okay. So let's do the giveaway. Make sure that you type the word workshop if you haven't already, and we will draw a winner. Share my screen. Man, I'm glad that you guys remembered that because it stinks to have to go back through and
I know.
put them in a wheel. This is so much easier.
And they want to get it.
That's right.
And if they have a $35, you can get it for free.
Yes.
They're definitely going to want to do that. So
absolutely. All right.
251 entries. So hopefully yours is
5 more just came in.
Okay. You got like seconds. Okay. All right. The winner is...
It starts to slow down.
Jane
Rydell. Yay. And she's on Facebook. I just want to point out because somebody said last time only YouTube people win.
So see, it's not true.
So congratulations, Jane.
Congratulations.
All right. So Jane, in order to claim your prize, Nina's email is right there. Right there. So go ahead and email Nina. And please do so within the next 5 days. We're only you have 5 days to get it in. And if you don't get it in, then you're out of luck. So just email her right now. Go email her right now. And then Nina, if you could also quickly drop that baby lock link and the order link again, because I know you already did it, but their comments are coming in like crazy. And I just want to make sure everybody has a chance to get in on that.
Tell them again what the baby lock thing is you're talking about.
So tomorrow, I'm not going to say exactly what the winner gets because I will mess it up because it's because I don't have it right in front of me and I'm not giving it away. But Maddie Murphy from Baby Lock is going to be here and she's going to be live at the end and she is going to draw the winner of that contest. And she's giving away, I think it's a pattern from...
I saw it in writing, but Riley I cannot remember. Possibly. So she's giving something away.
If you go to the link, this is terrible. I should know this. If you go to the link for the Baby Lock giveaway, it'll tell you what it is. So you'll be able to see it. But yes, congratulations.
Yeah.
All right, you all. Well, at this point, you have seen kind of how we do this thing, right? And I will say, now you got to make a choice, right? Do you want to keep watching and see and just check it out, which is totally fine. Tomorrow, we're going to do a lot more. Or are you ready to dive in and give this a try? And I hope that you do. I encourage you to try it out. It's a beautiful design, wonderful price point. And Quilt and Hoop, so you can't beat it.
That's right.
At this point, go shopping because that promotion that is available ends tomorrow night at midnight. So thanks, Mama.
Thank you.
We'll
Thanks
do
for
it again
watching,
tomorrow.
everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Bye.